It was much more about just like, it's how they've always done things is they work with their friends and they give contracts to places that their friends went and worked.
They tried to erase Palantir's life-saving impact from history, but the truth leaked out. Check this video out.
And you literally had with Palantir this deployment in Iraq that was like helping find all the IEDs for the special forces and saving their lives. And the Army Brigade said, "Oh, can you go with us too? Our bosses won't let us pay you, of course, because with they want to give all the money to their friends. But we said, of course, like we're patriots. Here's a system for free. Just like report back, give us feedback." And they showed us how we were saving massive numbers of lives by automatically bringing together communication from the British and the French and different parts of America deployments, and really reduce a lot of the lives lost. And it was wonderful. And then, of course, when it finally came up to like bid out the new defense ground control system, of course, they gave the $5 billion contract, like no contest, right away to their friends at Raytheon.
Oh, I thought for sure you were going to say, and that's how we got our beachhead.
Palantir built a tool that worked on the ground, under pressure, and without fanfare. Special forces relied on it, and lives were saved. But when it came time to make things official, the decision makers didn't even blink before awarding billions to an industry giant. Why? Because legacy relationships still outweigh battlefield results. Isn't it time we asked, what's the real cost of ignoring innovation in defense? It's not just contracts. It's lives.
No, exactly. They give it. So of course they give it to the big company. And it turns out there actually were laws passed in Congress that they had to consider off the shelf software. They had to consider working with new entrants. But of course they're like, oh, we can't work with a new entrant. We always just give it to one of the primes. And so we actually won the lawsuit. You know what's crazy is the general in charge told them to destroy the records of Palantir saving lives. But fortunately, we and another person on the Army side had kept a secret copy. And so they tried to assert that that never happened. And then we showed it, and the judge was horrified on our behalf. And so we just crushed them, obviously, because they were just liars. And then eventually Palantir, wins the program. And it was fascinating to me is that once Palantir finally got in and finally was running all this stuff, all these people said, wow, you guys actually are way better. We were told by everyone that you were schemers and not complete and broken and all bad in all these ways. And so they're very, very good at bad mouthing their opponents and trying to keep you out. But here's what's happened, Tom, and this is optimistic. So Palantir breaks through. It starts to really win over the last 8-9 years. SpaceX, I mean, if you have to be blind not to see it, right? They're doing things at 1/100th the cost. Like I think more things have been sent to space by SpaceX than anyone else at this point. Obviously better. And these things are so much better. They kind of laid these train tracks and said, so a lot of generals, a lot of admirals, a lot of them are really good guys. They care about our country. They're patriots. They're there for the right reasons. And there's still some merit left in the military for sure. So these people say, wait a second, these new things are way better. And then Anduril comes along and it's just like running circles around the primes. It's doing things for an eighth the costs that are clearly better in every way. And so Anduril now is a big new prime. And then that's actually opened it up. We have 7 or 8 new companies valued over $1 billion. I've started a couple more of them that are, one of them, for example, Epirus. I don't know if you've heard of this one yet, but we're able to turn off. We're able to turn off enemy drones miles away. So swarms of drones, which is how warfare works right now. It's like magic. We did a contest against the primes. The guys didn't take us seriously. Like, oh, we're the primes. Why are you guys here? We shot down the hardened drones 9.5 times further away for the same power and size. Just wipe the floor with them.
There's something heartbreaking about this. A company steps up, gives away life-saving tech, not for money, but because they believe in the mission. Lives were saved. Feedback was shared, and yet when it came time to formalize support, the system rewarded the usual suspects. How many lives could have been saved if performance, not politics, drove these decisions? It's hard not to feel both pride and disillusionment here.
Literally never understand what the worldview is that somebody at that kind of classic prime is running. You're going up against the best and the brightest coming out of Silicon Valley, which has shown over the last God knows how many decades that they out-innovate everybody. And so I don't know if they're just thinking, oh, you guys can do Instagram, Facebook, but you can't translate that over
that's what it is. That's what it is. I mean, they you guys are software guys. We build the arsenal of democracy. I'll give you another one. Saronic is this company we started a few years ago, and it's already delivering, hundreds of boats now to the Navy and teaching them how to use AI. But this is a very new thing. No one's done that from Silicon Valley before. And to be honest, it's not just Silicon Valley. We needed talent that came from the advanced manufacturing world. We needed talent that came from the Navy. The guy running it's a Navy SEAL. And we're doing things that the primes can't do. And this, by the way, China has 200 times our shipbuilding capacity. So that's why I'm as fast as I can. I want to prove we can build thousands of ships again. We're going to do it the next year or two.
how do you justify destroying evidence that proves lives were saved? That's not just unethical, it's dangerous. Palantir had to fight tooth and nail just to be considered, despite laws that said they should be. And even then, it took a secret backup and a horrified judge to reveal the truth. This isn't about one company, it's about a system that protects its own, even when it fails. But here's the good news: innovation is breaking through. Palantir, SpaceX, Anduril, they're showing what happens when you earn your way in. If you're still questioning whether Silicon Valley can build defense tech, you're missing the point and the future. Ceron's delivering hundreds of boats. It's integrating AI into naval strategy. That's not a theory, it's happening. And what's the legacy response? Doubt, dismissal. That mindset is the real risk, because while they cling to status, China's building fleets. We need action, not arrogance.
Yeah, this is where I think the national mythology of what World War II was for us has lingered for so long that people don't realize that, yes, when Japan attacked Pearl Harbor, we were able to shift this incredible manufacturing area of the economy over to wartime stuff. We don't have it anymore. And so all of that has atrophied, gone away, been shipped overseas. And so as I started watching the rise of China, and it clicked over in my head that, well, hold on a second. These guys, I would clock them as current rivals that could become adversaries. That's where I'm like, the fact that they can make 200x the number of ships that we make, that sounds like us back in World War II.
Exactly.
But now it's not us. It is our adversary. What happened to our adversaries when we did it? They lost. And so it's like, yo, this is a little too predictable if we don't start building these capabilities back up, whether it's Anduril and what they're doing with shipbuilding. When you're spinning that up, are you guys thinking specifically about China and that being this inevitable threat on the horizon? Are you thinking, no, it doesn't matter who it is. We just need to be prepared for anything and everything that could come at us? How do you guys think through that?
Well, listen, I think the Islamists around the world are a major threat. I think the communists are a major threat. I think those are the two biggest totalitarian philosophies. It's actually scariest to me when they work together. But, we're going to be facing, our grandkids will still be facing Islamists as a major problem. I think we don't take it seriously enough. And then our grandkids will probably still be facing some form of communism as well. It seems to be a recurring kind of like broken part of the human brain to want this if it's not educated properly, right? Thomas Jefferson thought the whole point of having public school was to teach against the ills of despotism, which is basically another form of like teaching against the ills of authoritarianism and communism, right? So it's like, ironically, our public schools teach the opposite now. I think we encourage our kids.
That didn't go as planned.
we need to recapture those. We're working on, that's a whole other issue we're working on. But Saronic especially was created because Dino and I and a few people around us in touch with our friends who run the Navy said, wait a second, exactly, we're going to lose if we don't actually make thousands of ships. And by the way, a warship in 2025 should look completely different than a warship in 2000 because you don't need people on it. You don't. And so that means you could design it much cheaper. You could have way more firepower. We have a new 150-foot boats we're working on. We bought a big shipyard in Louisiana. We're putting a few $100 million into it. We're building these 150-footer autonomous ones, and it has all sorts of different possible configurations for different types of weaponization. There's all sorts of different types of controls. We actually hired some people who came from like the gaming world, of course, because you want both people who know how naval battles work, but also for command and control. It's a whole different design for how you deploy and use AI and how you control hundreds of these at once in any kind of battle scenario.
That is so interesting, Joe, because
right?
I build video games. I know we talked very briefly before we started rolling. The thought that the things that we have to figure out in terms of how to get an enemy to act intelligently, that would play out in real military, isn't that fun? Fascinating. Sorry,
I was always a fan.
That's very interesting.
I was a big video game guy. I was a fan of Ender's Game, like from Orson Scott Card and all these things. And you actually have to simulate in the water though, because there's things like rogue waves that just destroy your ships when they're sprinting and stuff. So you actually have to practice a lot in the water and then echo it and then practice again and echo it. You don't just want to simulate. It's really dangerous. You can make a lot of mistakes.
There's something deeply motivating about this. And it's not just the tech. It's about taking back our edge. Our grandparents built the world's strongest military machine. They out-manufactured, out-innovated, and outfought the greatest threats of their time. That wasn't luck. It was vision, sacrifice, and resolve. And yeah, we let that edge erode. We outsourced, we got complacent, and we told ourselves software guys can't build real things. But now that's changing. Today, a small, determined team can outbuild the legacy primes and can outthink them, can do in months what used to take years. That's the real spirit of American innovation, and we owe it to the next generation, to our kids and their kids, to bring that back. Because the future doesn't wait, and if we don't lead, someone else will.